Hello and welcome everybody to the Terminal State Podcast with my host Joe Kerr and your co-host Joey Robinson.
All right, we are live. Let's get to it.
All right, it is awesome to be back behind this microphone after our long delay of 2 weeks now.
Yeah, we're going on 2 weeks tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, that's partially my fault. Male yeast infection. My dick fucking hurts right now. It's pretty intense for you guys, you know.
So what exactly happened? It was like what? It was we recorded last episode. It came out Friday.
Yeah.
And then it was like what? Like Saturday that weekend that it hit you?
No, we recorded it on. I want to say it was on a Sunday. Actually, I literally was just starting to get sick.
Okay.
The day.
It was a couple right, but
yeah.
you recorded, and then I edited it for a couple days,
Yeah.
and then it came out Friday.
Yeah. Okay.
And
all right.
so yeah, was it before it came out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
So it was like
right,
that weekend.
It was right before it came out, and then it was on that weekend, and I was starting to feel like shit. And the actual cause of it, everybody likes to say that, I've been fucking rotten pussy, but that is not the case. My girlfriend is a lovely lady, and she took care of me during that whole time. No, it was actually thrush. And basically, that is a yeast infection in your mouth. And
Okay.
then when I got that in the mouth, it liked to travel down south.
How does that work? How does
I
it
have
travel?
no idea, dude.
It's not like you were like licking your dick.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to pull a Marilyn Manson and suck my own wiener while I had thrush. That was pretty painful. I couldn't even open my fucking mouth. So I'm really glad that I got the podcast recorded right before I lost the ability to talk. But I've actually had it twice now. This is the second time. The first time was it actually made sense, but this time it literally came out of nowhere. 1 year to the day later.
Conspiracy.
Dude, it was wild, man.
The government fucking gave it to you, bro.
Yeah, dude. It was like
kidding.
as soon as I decided to get into a political podcast, they were like, no, we need to shut
They're
him
watching
down.
us, man.
Yeah, they are already on to us because they know we're about the truth, man.
But yeah, I remember you calling me at work and just telling me what was it, a couple days or something you didn't eat.
Oh my god,
Your
yeah,
mouth?
dude, I didn't
Yeah.
eat for fucking 5 days. It was
Holy
ridiculous. I literally stopped eating and then also stopped shitting simultaneously. Well, I mean, it makes sense, yeah, because, you kind of need food to shit. But anyways, I lost the ability to do all that. Dude, I was weird because, after 5 days of not eating, it almost became I kind of wanted to see how far I could push myself.
Kind of like discipline.
Yeah, dude.
See how
I mean, it was
disciplined you
a
were?
fasting thing, and I thought that was actually pretty cool to because it really was a cool thing between your mind versus your body
Right.
on disciplining yourself.
Yeah, I mean, Gandhi did it for 40 days?
Yeah,
A 40-day hunger strike.
yeah. I mean, as long as you can get water into yourself, I mean,
Right, you can only go 3 days without water
Yeah.
or something. Yeah, you're gonna die.
Yeah, the water is the most important thing.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
as long as you do that, you're good. But yeah, man, I am still recovering from this shit. I got rid of the mouth infection, and now my penis is still beat up horribly. It's very gruesome looking, So
What
just,
does that entail? What exactly is gruesome about it?
I mean, the tip of my dick is a giant scab, and it's so bad, dude. I literally am so comfortable with just telling everybody this.
Hey man, that's what it's
information.
about. It's
Like,
this shit happens to people.
Yeah.
Let's be adults about it.
yeah,
You know what
man.
This
I mean,
is a medical condition.
I mean-
This is what happens. You know what I mean?
it doesn't happen to too many men. I was in disbelief that I had a male yeast infection the first time.
Right, and now the second time.
Yeah.
So why
it's
did the first time did it make sense?
because I had actually gotten bit by a dog a week prior to
Oh,
it.
shit.
So, especially when my dog bite itches, I always think, oh man, he's thinking of me. he wants to get another nibble on my leg. But yeah, so the dog bit me, and went to the doctors, and they prescribed me this really strong antibiotic. And as I was telling you about like how I'm allergic to cats, that for like I have allergy induced asthma. Okay, I had my inhaler, and like I don't know, I feel like I was just freaking out about the dog bite like the day after it happened or some shit. And I remember I grabbed my inhaler, and it was in my car, and I fucking hit it. And apparently, so the mix of the strong antibiotics, it fucks up your immune system.
Yeah,
so,
it pretty much knocks out all the good and bad
it's
bacteria like in your gut and in your system. You know what I mean? Some of that bad bacteria is what's causing your infection.
So basically, like when you do hit an inhaler, there is bacteria that can hang out in there and shit, and like
just like from previous use, or like from the actual medical compound.
So the actual like
the infection,
like what causes the infections are candidiasis. They're if you like search all that up, like they're like yeast, spores, whatever. Like everybody actually has them in their mouth and shit. It's just like if your immune system is compromised, like it was with the antibiotics, then you're more prone to getting the infection. Like if a woman was on antibiotics, she's at a high risk of getting a yeast
It's definitely
infection.
more common in women. Yeah.
Yeah. So I freaked out, hit my inhaler, and then like shortly after that, I started getting sores in my mouth. And I was like, oh, fuck, maybe I got canker sores, whatever. And I swishing, salt water in there, whatever, like your usual shit to get rid of them. And they weren't going away. And I was like, and it would get more and more painful, and like they were just like still really bad. So I had went and got checked out for that, and they were like, it's thrush, because the way you can tell is the corners of your mouth get all fucked up and dry and shit. And that's
they knew right away.
Yeah. So then they give you a oral swish to take care of that.
A little swishy swish.
Yeah, and it's funny because I'm pretty sure it's also an antibiotic too. Like in the swish, and I'm just like, wow, like something.
Just loading up.
Yeah.
It's like, how many antibiotics can I give this guy?
Yeah, right. So,
but the nuclear fucking system.
And literally, the first time I had it, I was actually on a trip to Pittsburgh last year during the beginning of August. So I was going with my buddy, and like that was just like it just really fucked up the whole trip. It was a great trip. I loved Pittsburgh, but
never been.
Really?
I've been a lot of places, never Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Pittsburgh's pretty dope. Really hilly. You gotta big.
I went to San
hills,
Francisco, man. I know how really hilly it is.
Oh yeah, dude. It's really similar to. I mean, I've never been to San Francisco, but fuck. Yeah. But yeah. So long story short, can't really say that now. But,
we don't want any short stories on this. This is a podcast.
This is a podcast. This is the rambles of my penis infection.
Don't worry, we're not going to be talking about this for 2 hours.
I promise, guys. I'll wrap this up. I just wanted to let you know on the long delay, and I want you to know how intimate I want to be with our audience. They ran all these things to if I was like, I mean, dude, like adults who get this shit, the prime candidates are AIDS patients, cancer patients, and diabetics.
Yeah, none of the above.
Yeah, dude. I mean, they ran all these tests and stuff, and like immune compromised diseases run in my family.
Well, that makes sense why those three groups of patients would also get it, because they also have, they would be immunocompromised. You know what I mean?
So, I mean, they ran all the tests on there, and they were saying, everything was all good and stuff, but it's just like, it's just really weird to me that it's like, I get the same infection 1 year to the day.
That's funny.
And you ran all these tests on me, and I didn't come up for anything at all. And like,
we didn't come up with what they were testing for.
I mean, dude, they casted a really, like, they literally said to me they're gonna test fucking for AIDS, cancer, STDs, freaking, like,
right, you came back negative for those. You know, it's not like they, put your blood in a little machine, a little Google medical device, and it's just like, what's wrong with this? You know?
They didn't just send it out to the Google gods
right, they
to
just
figure out.
They look for people with AIDS and what's in their blood, and look at your blood and see if you have similarities.
Yeah, and it's just like, I am really concerned about, like, well, do I have an immunocompromised disease? Whatever.
They just can't find it?
Yeah, like that, I don't know.
Right, it's been because they twice.
Yeah.
What, 12 months? Been
twice?
Yeah,
literally in a year frame.
Yeah.
So, what my next point is going to be is that what really pisses me off is that I apparently prone to getting infections, and how was I able to get that infection? And yet for my job, what I do, I literally pick up people's trash. So I'm talking used masks for your coronavirus there.
Coronavirus.
Yeah, or the COVID-19 crisis. It's like, you know, if I'm susceptible to getting an infection like that, why haven't I contracted coronavirus yet? Is what I'm really making the point here. It's like,
you just haven't been exposed to it. Yeah.
I'm a pretty prime candidate, though, for what they say. I mean, like...
Well, right, you know, maybe not like as prime as someone that they know has a immunodeficiency, but you know, with you definitely getting infections, and there's probably a reason. And it has something to do with your immune system. You know,
it definitely ties into, because I'm prone to getting pneumonia. I've had it like 8 times already.
Yeah, that's Jesus. Once every 3 years.
Yeah, it's pretty intense, man.
Yeah.
So I had actually thought that I had pneumonia in the beginning of the year, and this was right around like February. So, I mean, I know everybody's new thing is like, oh yeah, I totally had coronavirus, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's the only thing I could, like, think of is, like, did I catch it before it blew up? Or
you can get the antibody test.
I know.
I went and got one in May, and I was negative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I am talking all this
curious.
shit, and like, yeah, you were curious on it. Like, where'd you end up going?
I was just like, well, now, or like urgent care. They have them there. They have like tests and the antibody test.
Okay. All right. Word.
Yeah, you should check it out. Definitely. Like,
yeah, I mean, I am talking all this shit about coronavirus and like how I have not contracted it yet, but I don't fully know because I did not take the test.
Probably didn't, but maybe.
But like, the point that I'm making though is that it really does aggravate me that, you know, for the job that I do, picking up garbage. I mean, like, I pick up so many used masks and gloves. It's like, I feel like I am exposed to the majority of the public of our town that we live in. Like,
yeah.
So, it's like...
It's also tough because, like, the actual bacteria only, like, survives like an hour or 2 on the surface.
Yeah.
You know?
And I'm out in the sunlight all the time.
Right.
But I'm just saying,
but still, you know what I mean? Like when you think of a pandemic, right? Like, when you think of people who are going to get sick and, like, what occupations are more at risk, right? Someone that deals with trash is definitely at a higher risk. You know, you're dealing with not even just a higher risk for COVID, you know,
for everything,
for every disease or condition, you know.
Exactly, and I mean, you know, but here's my thing too: is I think that I definitely think being out in the sun, and like you'll hear Joe Rogan talk about this constantly in every podcast about the importance of vitamin D and like being exposed to sun. And,
I actually take vitamin D.
Oh, really? Nice, dude. That's good. You know, that's one thing I haven't taken it like in the pill form. But I figured, you know, I've gotten one hell of a fucking tan because I'm literally out in the sun.
I'm sure you're getting enough. Like me, I don't I go outside, but I don't work outside. There's a good majority of my day where I'm sleeping, you know, 8 hours or something, you know, 7 to 9 hours, and I'm working 8 hours too. So it's not like I'm really
doing overnights too. So it's like, I mean, unless you're doing something in the daytime, I mean, like,
We actually found too that like you do absorb vitamin D at night.
really,
Like it's really small.
I mean,
Not as
I
much as
figure
during the day,
obviously,
but there
yeah.
still is that residue like left over.
Well, I mean, like, and isn't the moon illuminated by the sun too?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
can you,
That's
yeah,
exactly
not-
it. Right. The
yeah.
sun doesn't really go away. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
exactly. So, but yeah, man. I mean, that's
That's been your week.
yeah, pretty much, man. I
Yeah.
mean, like, it sucks. No man ever wants to see their penis bleeding. I'm sorry, guys. We'll stop with the penis talk. You know, I just really needed to paint a really good picture for you guys.
Yeah, so obviously, for all the men out there, and hopefully sympathetic women, you can see there was a little bit of a reason for our delay, you know.
Yeah, I promise.
Any man would not want to be in that condition, you know.
I promise. I don't want to make this an annual thing every August. You know, in the beginning.
Yeah, we'll check back next year.
Yeah,
See if we got
yeah.
round 3.
Dun dun dun. Dude,
Dun, dun, dun.
if I get it next year in the beginning of August, that will truly be like an anomaly. I mean, like,
Yeah,
I'm,
the odds of that have to be substantially low.
oh yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Well, I'm still actually waiting for results from a dermatologist because when I went to the doctors and you know, looked everything and, you know, swab it, whatever, see what they can do. I went to the dermatologist and I was like, I've never gone to a dermatologist in my life. And I was like, great. The first time, you know, most people go there, you know, I got stubborn acne or something. But
Right.
it's like, nope, I'm busting out my dick. First day here.
First day, my dick's bleeding. Please
Yeah,
help.
please help me. And dude, it sucks because like I had a lovely young lady and her assistant who was also closer to my age. They were probably 15 years apart. She was like probably in her 30s, and she, you know, her assistant was like early 20s, and it's like, great, these lovely gals are poking and prodding at my penis. So
Gotta do what you gotta do, man.
yeah, and then you know,
Just doctors, they're just doing their job.
it really sucked
Yeah.
because, well, see, she's a PA, like a physician's assistant.
Yeah.
And what was great is when she was just like, "Oh, hold on, we gotta call a doctor in here," and I was like, "Oh, great, that's awesome," you know.
You know,
You
third
gotta
set of
love-
eyes.
Yeah, third set of eyes to, and then he's checking it out. You know, it's funny. He came into the room, and the first thing I was sitting up on the table thing, whatever, and he looks at my arm, and he sees my burn mark on that, and he's like, "Oh, what is this right here?" And I was like, "That is a burn mark from when my friend and I were really stupid." And that was from Steve and I. We held lighters on each other's
Yeah.
arms. So, you know, I will. I definitely regret doing that, and I've learned my lesson to not
Things you do when you're 12.
I mean, Steve was 12, I was 15, you know. We just smoked a bowl of animal crackers, you know. It was,
Living the dream.
yeah, it was a wild time. Anyways, yeah, so he looked at that, and I was like, nope, the focal point is below the belt. You gotta check this out.
Undo it.
Yeah, so takes a blood slide, like those little pieces of glass, takes that and he like presses it on my dick, and he's just like, all right, you know, we'll send this out for samples. And dude, that was last Friday. We're coming on a week later, you know, like I just have not heard anything from them at all.
I just think there's so many like people waiting on results.
I mean, I guess so.
You can only process so many per day. You know, it's like with the coronavirus test.
Yeah.
You know, they can't process every test every day. I mean, they've gotten a lot better at it, and maybe now we're getting closer to that. But you know, we're 6 months in now. You know, and we haven't been doing that the whole time.
Dude, I think that's wild. It's 6 months in. I mean, like,
Yeah,
to
it's crazy.
think back to, I don't know what you did for New Year's at all. But,
I worked.
Oh, fuck, man.
I went in at 10 p.m. on New Year's Eve and worked till 3 a.m.
Dude, that blows.
It did.
Holy
It was
shit.
nice though because at 12 there was nobody, and
Oh,
you
yeah,
know.
man. That's pretty dope.
I remember one year I worked and somebody came. I used to work at Buffalo Favorite Mighty Taco,
Oh, yeah.
fast food
Delicious.
taco place. It is a Buffalo staple for 50 years now,
Yeah,
and
dude.
40 years.
Right around there, man.
Yeah.
I mean, exclusive to Buffalo.
Yep, 30 locations, all in Buffalo.
If you guys don't know, Buffalo is a lovely food place. I mean, we have legit pizzerias. I mean, like, we'll put out any corporate pizza.
Oh, absolutely.
chain
We did.
out of
Pizza Hut
business.
just went out of business over
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, I remember I
because
saw
it's-
that, and they couldn't handle it, man.
Right.
You know? But it's like,
But-
get out of here. You don't need to be here.
But yeah, like, so one year at 11:59, somebody comes in the drive-thru of the Mighty Taco, and I was working, and I was just like, come on. But yeah, it was just so shitty. Like, you know, someone out there has nothing better to do than to come to Mighty Taco at 11:59 p.m. on New Year's Eve. Like, come on, man.
Especially it being Buffalo, too. I mean, like, we are a drinking city, and it's like, are you, the one out of, however many people are here that are we're like, fuck popping champagne, I'm gonna get me some Mighty Taco.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you have nothing else to do.
Yeah.
Like, even if it was, like, say it was just me, and I had no plans on New Year's Eve, and I had no work, but I had nothing to do, wouldn't you, like, still at least sit at home, put on the TV or something, watch the ball drop?
Yeah,
or,
man.
like, go to a bar, have a drink, watch the ball drop. Like,
Well,
even if you're just by yourself. You
Dude,
know what I mean?
even with, like, my whole New Year's plan, I mean, I really had no idea what to do. My girlfriend and I weren't even together yet, and we were still, like, talking and everything. She was like, oh, let's go to a friend's house, and, and then she ended up getting drunk, and I was DD, but, still a good time, man. I mean, fuck, dude. If I would have known that, like, that New Year's party would have been, like, the last normal New Year's, I would have been like, fuck this, we're going downtown, man. I mean, it's
Well,
cold.
I don't think it would have been the last normal one.
I mean, I don't know, but,
I
like...
think, like, this New Year's is going to be pretty normal. You think? Maybe not. Maybe they won't have
I don't know.
crowds.
Dude, for all you know, the world could fucking burn down in November because of the whole political landscape we got going on. I mean...
I don't think it's going to burn down.
I don't know, man.
You think if Trump wins, is that what you're saying? Trump wins, there's going to be fires?
I mean, like, I'm not saying that because I'm, like, this anti-Trump guy. Like, but anyways, like, I definitely do think that it will start to go to shit because I feel that there are people who do not want him to win.
Oh, definitely.
So they're gonna...
Millions of people that don't want him to win.
Yes, I'm well aware of the disliking of Mr. Trump there. But what I'm saying is, unfortunately, very left radical leaning people, I feel like they kind of have a sore loser mentality, and they're gonna kind of...
I feel like you're right. I think there's a bit of that, right?
Yeah.
Like when Obama
specifying
won, do you remember that?
Leftist, yes, I do.
Do you remember anybody saying, not my president?
No. And my...
what they were saying, though, is that he wasn't born here, right?
Yeah, the whole, he's born in Kenya.
Right.
The whole birth certificate thing was a lie. And you know what's fucked up, too? Is that Hillary Clinton was on that fucking bandwagon. And then when it wasn't, like, in her favor to say that anymore, then...
What bandwagon?
The whole he was not born in America and all that shit.
Was she running that year?
It was the first.
I think so.
Yeah,
I
it was
think you're
the
right.
first year.
I think it was 2008 when she first decided that she was going to run for president. And that's when she stopped being a senator in New York.
Yeah, and then she decided that she was going to do the presidential
Obama came along and stole it.
Yep.
And that's why she ran again when she was first eligible,
Yeah.
After Obama was done.
Yeah, that's why she... Yeah, because then she would have ran the second time for her against Trump. So, right? That makes sense.
Right, her second time was 2016 against Trump.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just making sure our timeline is accurate here.
Yeah.
But,
right, yeah, I'm sure... Was she one of the people, like, questioning his birth certificate at the time? Yeah?
Yeah, you could look it up. She was on that whole... See, that's the thing about these really left-wing... I mean, dude, it's not even like a left-wing, right-wing thing. It's like, she's a corrupt piece of shit, and I feel like the majority of everybody can see that now. I
think, like, people have it wrong, too. Like, they think that she has the party in mind first. And she has, like, governing in mind first. But you have to realize with these people is that they have their own interests first.
Exactly.
Their own
they don't care what it is, if it's for this person, this group, whatever. You know what I mean?
They're right. They're just using that platform to gain the power to fill their needs.
Yeah.
You know, they want money and they want influence and they want to have a better life. Right?
Yes. And they're going to say and do whatever they...
But their idea of achieving it is through corruption, you know, not through the normal means that everyday people like me and you do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, you know, that's what people have to realize is that Republican, Democrat, whatever, they have their own interests in mind and they just use the party and use that platform to get what they want.
Well, because if anything, they have more, of an interest in the people who are interested in them, whether it's foreign countries or corporations.
Right. That's influence, right?
Yeah, and that's where their money is, dude. They don't give a fuck about,
Like you see it all the time. They flip flop on all these policies because they just tell you what you want to hear. They just reiterate what the platform is for that party.
Yeah.
And they just tell you what you want to hear.
They pander to whatever group they need to pander to.
Right.
And then if it doesn't work out, they move on to something else. And then it's just, that's really how they roll. And I mean, like, you could ask anybody about, are the Clintons corrupt? And with all the shit that has come out now of August 2020, from... I don't care if it's Jeffrey Epstein to fucking Benghazi. So many people have now seen this for what it is.
Right, there's lots of evidence of corruption.
Exactly, man. And I mean, like, and we're definitely seeing it now a lot with no matter what party you belong to or whatever. I mean, we're clearly seeing an absolute disgusting corruption of just these elite people.
Yeah, like I was just telling, okay, so from 2009 to 2011 or 12, the Democrats controlled the presidency, the House, and the Senate.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then in 2016 or 17, until last year, the Republicans controlled the presidency, the House, and the Senate. So they had complete control over the government. In every house, they had the majority. Okay?
Yeah.
So there was really these things that were just being held back by the other side. Wouldn't they have passed them when they had no opposition? That's the thing. Is that they had complete control to write and pass any law they wanted to.
Because their team was in there and they were controlling
and they didn't.
it.
Exactly. They fucking didn't.
Well, where was this change that we were, all promised about with Obama?
Or with Trump.
I mean, people still ask me, why do you still, go for the Trump train and all this shit and stuff? And, I definitely think that recently he's been doing a lot of change with stuff behind the scenes. I mean, this is like, you could say it's speculation or whatever.
Oh boy.
Because he's...
What has he been doing behind the scenes?
Well, just with like the whole, like I had mentioned to you off the podcast about, with QAnon and all that, basically... Because I can't fully say, like, oh, yes, this is true, because it hasn't, like...
My biggest thing with Q and the QAnon movement,
mm-hmm.
like, how is someone that hung out with Jeffrey Epstein, used to be good friends with Jeffrey Epstein.
And
now he's the one that's coming against everybody? Someone that was heavily linked and involved with the people that he's coming against?
They did have the transcripts from the trials with the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing, and Trump is brought up in there. They were interviewing one of the girls, and you can literally read through what they were asking this girl about Donald Trump. And she was saying, the reporter was saying, oh, did you ever see Donald Trump with any of the young girls? And she was like, no, to all the things like about Trump. And
that's only one person.
I mean,
that's one girl that could have easily been bought out to lie,
Could
and that's
be,
an
yeah.
official. That's on record, right? You're in court, so those things tend to put a degree of duress on people. It affects their decisions and what they say.
Yeah,
you know what
yeah,
I mean.
I get it. I know that people have been saying like, yeah, he does have there's clearly pictures of him with Jeffrey Epstein. I get
Yeah,
that.
I mean,
I'm
not only that,
denying that
Jeffrey
at all.
Epstein is like recorded staying at Mar-a-Lago. And
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you
they're
gotta
both,
realize,
big shots from New York.
you gotta realize
90s,
too, is like Trump isn't the only. I mean, dude, you can say like. The weird thing about Jeffrey Epstein is that he was tied in with everybody. Like, that's the fucking scary thing.
Right.
Is that...
And so why would someone that was tied in with him be now against him, trying to expose him along with himself?
If there is valid proof that, like, yes, just because he was around him or associated with him and shit, I mean, you can't say that he necessarily agreed with what was going on. Maybe him seeing it firsthand was like, wow, well, this is fucked up. Like, I don't want this. And then
I feel like there's more of accountability than that, right? Like if you were friends with someone that, I don't know, if you were friends with Hitler, right? Mm-hmm. Like, wouldn't that kind of say something about you?
Yeah, but I mean, like, what if you became friends with, a really shitty person, but before you realized that they were shitty? You know what I mean? Because a lot of
girls, there's pictures with him with young girls.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. It was probably
I just don't have enough, like, that's why I'm not married.
There's definitely like not enough to say like one way or the other.
Yeah,
that.
That's why I'm not like, no, Donald Trump. But this is supposedly this is with the whole like there's he's literally been interviewed by reporters about asking
Trump?
Trump. Sorry, Trump was being interviewed and about like with the whole Q thing, and he's like he didn't acknowledge that he was a part of it or fucking aligned with them or whatever. He just acknowledged that apparently they are in favor of me, they like me, whatever they want to. They basically fit what he's against, with these people don't like Antifa, and when shit breaks out like that, it's just a real.
I think that's what it turns into. Like, that's why Trump is associated with all this, because Epstein is linked heavily with the Clintons, right? Yes. You got Bill Clinton being on the flight logs like 29 times or something. To his private island.
I mean, I definitely think that there's much more substantial evidence in the case of Bill Clinton and how close he was with Epstein,
much closer
versus Donald Trump. If you're comparing these, two together.
And we know Bill Clinton has sexual desires. Unlike most.
I mean,
anyway,
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, like, the reason it gets associated with Trump, and the reason that Trump is the leader of the Q movement, is because Epstein is so closely linked with the Clintons that people think, this is the thing to bring down the Clintons, or you know what I mean? So they automatically gravitate towards the other end of that, which is Trump. You know what I mean? And they think that he's responsible because he's the leader of, one of the largest countries in the world,
Yeah. But, like, what you had said with, like, why would Trump be allegedly aligned with this group that is exposing all these people and stuff? And I mean, like, if he wasn't partaking in those fucking heinous acts of, Kid Fuck Island, like, I feel like, wouldn't he be against them? You know what I mean? Like, if these are the people who are allegedly bringing all this information out, specifically with the child trafficking and shit. I mean,
like, he literally said, that he was neither one way or the other.
Yeah.
So,
So, like, do you get what I'm saying, though, about that? Where it's like, why would you he wasn't negative about them. He didn't
wasn't
discredit them. I mean, I think he was, like, in the interview, he was. I mean, you can look all this shit up. Like,
yeah. But I'm saying, like, from that interview you told me about, like, he didn't take a stance.
Well,
so you can't say, like, oh, like, he wasn't negative, but he also wasn't positive. You know?
Okay, all right. Let me elaborate a little more. One of the things that he did say in the interview is the reporter had asked him that you allegedly are making this fight against human trafficking and the going against these pedophile, cannibal, fucking nut jobs and shit.
Blood harvesters.
Yeah, adrenochrome. Yep. You know, you gotta use the right terms here.
Look it up.
He had said, well, this was basically his answer. He said, well, is that a bad thing that I am being, you know, that I'm supposedly the catalyst to this whole thing? Is that a bad thing that I, you know, am being talked about, that I'm taking out these, you know,
well, it's a bad thing if it's not true, right? Because we're giving him credit for something that he's not even doing.
But we don't know if he is or if he isn't. I mean, like, until we get substantial evidence, it is a definite, you know, like, until it fully unfolds, it's like, until this is, like, flat out, like, these people who, you know, regardless of whoever the fuck is doing this, we definitely have noticed that this shit is being brought to light. Regardless of if it's Trump or whoever. I mean, like, I definitely think it's
FBI.
I mean,
sure, people can manipulate the FBI. With Russiagate, but
I mean, I don't know. I just, like, I definitely believe that there is things that Trump is doing behind the scenes that he's not letting the general public know. Which, I mean, that goes.
Every president does
that. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like,
there's definitely things that they don't tell.
We will never fully know what is going on.
Right.
You know, what the president obviously knows. I mean, you know.
Right, like what the president is getting briefed on today, we will find out about, you know, months from now.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And that's the thing. And I mean, like, and to even know if that's true. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like there's a lot of deception.
It's a game.
With everything.
Right. There's a lot of, with the media and the politicians, it's all about controlling perception. It's a game. Mm-hmm. That's what it is.
Yeah, man. I mean,
because you have to control information, control your narrative, because whatever information people see, that's what they're going to take
and perceive as truth.
Right.
Yeah. And, you know, I guess that's really just up to you to, I guess, try and go on the best of instinct of what you hope, what information you're receiving is true. So, I mean, dude, I feel like we are in such a dishonest time right now that we don't know what the hell is true. I mean, the fact that you have people out here who are literally trying to change our history on shit. Like, you don't even know what's, like, being correctly taught in education.
Like what history are they changing?
Dude, I mean, like, you don't know what... I mean, granted, I'm not in high school anymore, so I don't know what's being taught in the curriculum for shit, but, like, the whole narrative of... I mean, take the topic of even, like, slavery or the starting of the country and stuff like that, you know, like the possible demonization of the founding fathers, you know what I mean, like basically going into a whole discrediting of, like,
that's,
you know,
what I think, like, I can agree, like,
that's what I'm saying with, like, changing of history, like, just
like, it's one thing to say the founding fathers, you know, they own slaves, right?
Yes.
Slavery is a terrible thing. And the founding fathers are terrible people for owning slaves. But when it comes to their artistry, in a sense, is, you know, what they did, what their work was.
Yeah.
You know, we can judge that based on our, you know, our understanding of government and our understanding of what is morally right and wrong.
I definitely think that, you know, to kind of hold someone from that era to the standard thinking of 2020 It's
Right.
just so vastly different.
Yeah, it's
which,
just
you know,
not
I
one
obviously
thing,
can't speak on the behalf of the founding fathers. For all you know, they could have been like, wow, this is fucked up. This is something we need to change. And obviously it did. It was put into the Constitution. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like, that was, you know. So at some point they came to the realization, maybe we shouldn't fucking own slaves. Like, this is
Can you imagine if we
wrong
did that to
do.
doctors? If we held doctors to the same standards as today? We were like,
Well, yeah.
can you imagine if we did that? No, like,
Yeah.
like if we took who's a famous what's her name? Clara Barton. She started the Red Cross,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And it was during the Civil War, and she set up the tents
Mhm.
to host the injured soldiers.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, what they would have to do is they couldn't stop an infection, so they'd amputate like a limb.
Yeah, because it was literally the only knowledge they had.
Right.
to
So
it,
should we
you
say
know,
that Claire Barton's a terrible person
because she was amputating people instead
Right.
of treating infections? Well,
That's
they
just what they
didn't
did
have-
at the time.
Yeah.
That was what was accepted.
Yeah.
That was
And,
the
you know,
height of their medical capacity.
Yeah, and we're not justifying by any means of heinous things that did happen back then, like something like slavery at all. They just to hold your 2020 mindset to somebody in the fucking 1700s
Right.
is just unethical. You know what I mean? And I
And
feel
even
like
just look at our country. Like 100 years ago, a 10-year-old, 12-year-old kids would walk into a pharmacy and buy a pack of cigarettes, and it was fine.
Yeah.
Everybody
Because they
smoked them.
didn't
They smoked
know.
inside,
Yeah,
smoked
they-
on planes. It was totally fine. To even suggest the fact that cigarettes were harmful, people were just like, oh, it's like drinking water or drinking a pop
Yeah.
Pepsi. It's just it was so normal that people didn't even think twice.
Yeah.
And that's how it was with slavery. Is that it was a practice that we learned from the English, right?
Yeah.
We're English colonies,
Yeah.
and we kept it until 1865.
Yeah.
And there's no justification for or any defense of slavery.
Yeah,
Right,
nobody out in the modern day, in America, anyways. I mean, other countries, I can't speak on their behalf.
Yeah, slavery's
but,
still happening today.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
not here, but it's happening.
Yeah, and even with, there is the slight justification for almost slave labor for everything that is produced over in foreign countries that then gets sent over here, like your fancy iPhone that gets built by practically slaves over there.
Right,
So,
so slavery's okay if it provides me with an iPhone.
yeah,
That's okay.
yeah, because it's
If I don't know about it, it's
convenient
okay.
for if I'm not seeing it happen, and it's not happening here. That's why I'm a firm believer in manufacturing in America. I mean, that's
But I think it's not possible.
really.
I just don't think there's. You know how much shit every day goes through Amazon. Every day, like the amount of shipping tons of goods that travel from country to country every day in the globe.
I mean, at one point it was possible in America.
And even us, there's 330 million of us that live on this little piece of land.
Yeah.
There's no way we could provide enough on our land
to
produce
sustain
everything.
our own existence, not
Certain
providing
industries, sure,
Yeah,
but there's no way everything. We could just stop all imports.
I get that.
You know?
Yeah, that. Well, and that's like, of course, we can bring it back to the perspective of George Washington's big thing was thinking about America first and not really. I don't think he was that concerned with trade at the time because the manufacturing landscape was not even, because obviously they didn't have the demands.
There just wasn't a lot of countries. We traded with the French and the English, and a lot of other European countries, and we went to Africa and South America.
Yeah,
but in the early days, they didn't really trade with those countries. They just went to Africa and pillaged. They went to South America and pillaged. You know what I mean? So
you're saying Americans went to these countries or English colonizers?
The colonizers that later became Americans.
Yeah.
These are families that lived on North America since 1600.
Yeah.
Became the United States in 1776.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no justification for slavery, but you have to.
Yeah, we definitely
understand-
want to, beat that dead horse.
Right,
I don't
right.
want anybody to get that wrong impression of
Yeah, exactly.
what we're trying
Like-
to make here.
Like,
Um,
you have no right to detain someone against their will and torture them with labor and violence and, make them do your dirty work and make them do your manual labor. It's just, it's fucked up.
I
fucked up.
really am curious about like what the whole manufacturing aspects of America, if slavery never was a thing in America, would they have just hired people to do that kind of stuff? Like if slaves
Yeah.
were never a thing at all,
Yeah,
I'm just very
definitely.
curious on
Yeah.
to see how that would influence.
Somebody would have to do it and they would just pay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's not like having a job wasn't a foreign thing. I mean,
Yeah, a lot of people think too that slavery just applies to people from Africa.
Yeah, no,
Like slavery's been around for thousands and thousands of years.
Egypt.
Right, the Egyptians had slaves. They were
Yeah.
just Egyptians that committed crimes, and they were either, if they were very heinous crimes, they became indentured servants, which
Didn't they
means
also
somebody
do that
else
to-
owned them.
to people from Israel too.
Yeah,
Isn't that a
Israel.
thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just asking. I don't know. I'm not trying to spit
No, yeah,
facts.
yeah. But so like, slavery's been around forever, and it's a terrible thing. It really is. And thank God that we abolished it. Almost
and,
170 years ago.
And I really, I wish that people would kind of, if you're gonna bring up slavery into the conversation and stuff, I mean, I definitely think that you should take pride in that America, yes, we did have that horrible thing, but we also abolished it. We made sure, I just, I definitely think that the bottom line is, I really think people should focus on the beautiful things that America has done. I definitely am not being ignorant to the shitty things that America has done, but I definitely think that there is a bit of an elite group that has hijacked this beautiful country into...
But do you really think that we've done more good than bad?
I mean, it depends on who you ask, man. I mean,
ask me, I'm gonna say no.
I don't know. I mean, being, a man who has grown up in America in a good place, I mean, like, I would definitely say my American exposure has been great, and I think that, the people who... I think it's all in what you do with it. Because it's like, I mean, obviously there's certain things in your life that you cannot change. That, where you're born into. If you're born into a poor area in, America and, fucking growing up in Detroit and just these horrible, like, not shitting on Detroit, I'm just saying, like,
yes, Detroit's one of the poorest cities in the country. Shit on Detroit. Detroit is not run very well.
I mean, and that I definitely think has to do with a little bit of democratic policies that they had in there. I'm trying to stay within the middle here, honestly. I'm not trying to point fingers. But
all I'm saying is from a neutral perspective is if you give people the power to run your city for 40 years and it remains shitty,
wouldn't you want to get them out?
Don't you think it's time for a change, right?
Yeah.
What's the definition of insanity?
I mean,
doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
And whether it was the Democrats that were running it and made it shit, or if it was fucking Republicans that ran it and made it into shit. I mean, wouldn't you just think as common sense to be like, hey, why do we keep running with the same party line all the time just because of the tradition of it? It's like, no, get some real fucking change in there, get a libertarian person in there. But just saying, if that ever becomes a thing, I mean, we very much have had libertarian governors before. Just saying, libertarian presidential candidates, just kind of hitting that.
Libertarian congressman, one currently
home,
right now.
Yeah, just want to prop up the libertarian.
We have our Joe Jorgensen and Spike Cohen poster
Yeah, I hope you guys
2020?
realize those are presidential candidates. Just saying, there is always a third option. You know, it's up to you.
Don't waste your vote, man.
Yeah, I mean, really, like that is. I just America really does need a bit of a change in it, I would say, and you know, I'm hoping that people who are more moderate in the middle, and I'm hoping that you know. All this ranting of what I'm saying on here sticks in with a pretty middle, libertarian, neutral kind of ideology. I know I've let you guys know that, yes, I am right-leaning, but I do firmly believe in a libertarian society. And, you know.
Yeah, I definitely say more that I'm more left-leaning on the libertarian side because, you know, there's some libertarian things that just I can't quite get behind. You know, and that's normal. Every when I was a Democrat, I didn't believe in everything that the Democrats were doing, and Republicans don't believe in everything that Republicans are doing, you know. But for libertarians, for me, like, there's some things I just can't get behind. The whole defund the police, and the libertarians were like, yeah, we agree. We should privatize the police.
Privatize?
I don't know about privatizing.
Yeah,
the police.
but dude, then that I feel like privatizing the police. Then you're kind of getting into. You're almost paying off the fucking police department on that.
I feel like it becomes even more. It's tough. Like when it's private, there's more accountability. That's one of the main things of privatization, right?
Yeah.
Like, not just like they have a guaranteed check. They have to work and provide the quality service to get the contract, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if there's, you know, X amount of companies, 3 companies, right, that want to get, say they're security companies, and they want to get a contract to be the police force in your city.
Yeah.
You're going to pick the best service, or which one you think is the best service.
Yeah.
So they're all competing
to be the best
service.
You're applying like a capitalist kind of mindset for
Right.
competition.
So that's
whether
the
it's
good
like
part.
phone companies and shit like
But
that.
the problem becomes is that there's no consequence for private businesses then, because they're just in it for the money.
Well, yeah,
and they
then
become
that's like
less
a
accountable on a
mercenary,
personal
dude.
level,
That's
right?
Like,
Because you know,
yeah, I definitely think that's a real dangerous thing to get into. I understand the whole thing of like police being a public service, and you know,
and it should be.
Yeah,
you know.
I definitely can acknowledge that. I think that you know. I very much would like us to see us really stick within the middle of where the police are, not too far friggin' one way where they're practically the military, and then the other side is that they're just these hired. Both sides are bad. You get what I'm saying? Because at that point you're like a military dictatorship. I mean, I definitely think, yes, there should be a more focus on extensive training. You got to make sure that you're not hiring just these fucking idiots who don't know at all what they're doing. I think that if you're a police officer, you should be held to such a high standard because of the amount of power that you have.
Right.
You don't want to grant that to somebody who's unfit.
I think that's where the training comes in. I think the training, like, sure, you need to filter out bad candidates, right?
Absolutely.
But I think the training more so turns the idiots into professional, respectable police officers, you know, so they need to better the training and make it more extensive.
Well, and I also think that boils down to, like, us living on the outskirts of Buffalo. We have our own police force in the town that we live in, and you want to hope that is made up of people from the community who have been raised by, you know, good people.
There is some kind of restriction. I think you have to live in the town.
Yeah. You have to live in the township. I mean, it definitely gets harder to once you're going into, you know, the city of Buffalo where you have...
I think like the sheriff, like Erie County Sheriff, or maybe even the city police, I don't think you have to live there.
No, Buffalo police. You do have to live with.
I know for the sheriff's office you don't.
Yeah,
it's Erie County. You just have to live in Erie County.
Yeah,
anywhere in Erie County, you know.
Well, yeah, because counties are obviously
bigger.
But no, what I'm saying is like I very much do believe in this. You know, you want to have people from the community, you know, in charge of that power because they know their community. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you don't have this foreign this disconnect. You
Right.
get what I'm saying? Like, that's why I am more for just, your local police officers who, know somebody, know their community.
Well, let me ask you this.
Hmm.
When, like, what's happening in Seattle, when the local police don't enforce what they're doing, they don't enforce the law, do you think that a federal entity should step in?
I mean, well, you have to question, well, why are they not enforcing it? Are they being directed by somebody to not enforce
Absolutely.
the laws?
Yeah, the law enforcement officers are directly directed by the
then you're
government
dealing
and
with
the
the
laws.
corruption in that government who is in charge of that police force.
Right, but you're having a federal entity step in and arrest people off the street.
See, that's where I think that's fucked up, because I very much do not want to see military basically coming in and policing. I mean,
that's what it is.
Yeah,
and it becomes an issue really too. Like if you think about cannabis, right?
Yeah.
Right now, federally, it's illegal.
But
each states that have it legal for recreational use have passed it through their state and have made directives to the law enforcement to not enforce these policies.
Yeah.
So, like, if you have an issue where now the federal government could come in and arrest people when they're not breaking any laws in their state.
Yeah, because in their state it's legal, but as a country it is not legal.
Makes zero sense.
Yeah, and that's where you have to have real cooperation with the federal and the state governments.
And the federal government doesn't, why should the federal government make these blanket policies like that? Sure, like certain crimes and certain offenses, but like,
I mean, and that's where you don't want to have such a strong federal government, because then you basically have like this looming impossible dictatorship enforcement. You get what I'm saying, though? Like, I mean, personally, my view is both types of government, federal and state, should have pretty minimal kind of power. I mean, I just want to think back to the whole standard of we the people. But you also have to make sure that when you're relying on the people, that they hopefully are good people, that they're not fucking murderers, and you get what I'm saying? Like,
but I think that's why our government is set up the way it is, or at least the way it was.
Yeah.
Is because even if those bad people get the power, or they get whatever influence, whatever, they aren't getting much power to begin with. But that's been slowly eroded since the Constitution was passed.
Absolutely, yeah.
And now these people have substantial power over your life, over your money, and
well, I think the biggest problem is that it's people. It's people running the government, whether it's, if it's people like you and I who are just everyday people, or Hillary Clinton, you know what I mean? We're all people, and it just boils down to, well, what are your intentions? You get what I'm saying? Like,
I think too, part of it, like, it's almost like a prerequisite of the job, right? Like, why aren't more good people in politics? Because they don't want to fucking do it. They don't want to play the game. They don't want to, like, potentially ruin
I don't
their
think
lives
that they're able to, because I feel
have the
like
money.
Once you get into that world, you either are with what's going on with the program or get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, look at JFK. He was somebody who genuinely wanted to make a difference and saw that there was corruption going on, and they were like, nope, you're done. Like, I mean, and he was also challenging the Federal Reserve, so that's a whole thing in itself. Centralized banking is evil, but,
we talked about that last time.
We did?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well,
but, like, JFK was definitely, he wasn't just shot by some, Soviet international
crazy guy, whatever. No, it was set up by the CIA. We know this.
Do we know if it was set up by the CIA?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah?
I definitely think if you went into it and you looked into it, he was killed by our own government, like, because he wasn't playing the rules.
Yeah, I definitely know. Like, there's lots of questions, regarding his assassination, and a lot of this stuff doesn't add up. I just didn't know if there was a direct link between our government and it. I know, like the investigation was, poorly done, and looks like there was probably some corruption involved. I mean, look at Lee Harvey Oswald was killed by the mob hours before he could appear before a judge.
Well, dude, I mean,
they didn't let the guy talk.
Dude, that even went in with the whole the guy who killed Lee Harvey Oswald, like,
right.
That in itself,
yeah.
The guy who shot him, there, was talks of him being on LSD when they were doing that whole MK Ultra shit, and that was a CIA program that was ran. And I mean,
right.
Like, that's
brainwashing was done.
Yeah, so it's
absolutely
like,
they tried everything to get the best spies, soldiers,
dude,
equipment,
and it totally lines up with the whole time frame of everything that was going on.
The Cold War. That was the height of it, dude.
Yeah. Like,
that was the height of it. Kennedy dealt with the fucking missile crisis, right?
Yeah,
that was Kennedy.
Well, and then the really
closest has come to nuclear war.
Yeah, and another scary fucking thing too is who took over once he was assassinated.
Right.
LBJ.
Yeah, it's vice president.
Yeah, he came in and then he started doing shit, and then like he was with the program and he was able to get his bullshit going on in there, and they definitely utilized the whole civil rights movements, and like that all that shit ties in.
Well, they also were responsible for it, right? Like, LBJ wrote the laws and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and I definitely think that is where I definitely think that the black population was royally fucked over by people like that.
They were fucked over for getting civil rights?
No. No. Okay, no. Definitely don't want people to think that that's what I'm saying. No, not at all. No, I think that what they were doing is that they basically hijacked that movement into manipulating it. Like, the start of the civil rights movement, yes, obviously, great thing. Like Martin Luther King, that was all very well justified. I think that they saw that they could use that to their advantage.
I think initially, they really, a lot of people don't realize, but like, the Democrats are the party in 1860 that were in charge of the South. Yeah. And they were the ones that supported the slavery.
They were the ones who started the Ku Klux Klan.
Right.
They were all,
So, like, when it came to the civil rights, it was a pretty, like, universal issue. And the Democrats were the ones that passed it. And then they were the ones that took credit for it. And then now, in 2020, they're still running on racism and
identity politics.
And that's what I think. I think initially it was good intention, right? Like, they passed the laws, they did all the things right, and after that, they're thinking to themselves, how do we, get voters or keep voters, right?
Yeah,
that voted for us during the civil rights movement.
Exactly. So that's why I'm saying
if you look
they
at
use
like
to their advantage. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, like if you look at like Reagan, right? In the 80s.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was something stupid. Like, he won, like, 46 states or something in the one election.
Mm-hmm.
So the Democrats were really hurting. Reagan was like an entity. You know what I mean? Like, he's still regarded by a lot of people to be one of the greatest presidents.
Yeah, well...
And that's coming from both sides.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And the funny thing that bringing up Reagan is that you had somebody who also was trying to do, I believe, a genuinely good thing, and then he was still shot. I mean, granted, he wasn't killed, He was shot.
Yeah, I think
like,
he's one that played the game too, though, because he was an outsider. He's like Trump.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Absolutely.
famous celebrity.
Yeah.
He was the outsider. He adopted the party platform and did what they wanted, and he gets the money, he gets the support, he gets the, you know what I mean? He played the game. He got the presidency. You know?
Yeah. Well, and then I'm pretty sure now. Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Reagan's vice president George W. Bush Sr.?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Wait.
Yeah, Senior.
Yeah, no, I know Senior, but like it was the right George. I think it's H.
Yeah,
H. Bush. Yeah, not W. That was his son. Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
right, he's. I don't know, maybe it's the way around.
No.
One of them's HW, one of them's W.
Yeah.
Herbert Walker and Walker.
Yeah, Herbert Walker was senior, the dad.
Okay.
He was the vice president for Reagan, but I definitely believe he was placed in that position because I don't think Reagan wanted him as his vice president, but he was basically put in there to keep Mr. Reagan on track with going along with everything.
Absolutely, there was that.
Dude, I mean, he was a CIA
George Bush,
operative.
right? Like George Bush was in the party, like
yeah,
he was, you know,
but
he probably would have been the presidential candidate if Reagan didn't win, you know.
But
and then that's why, of course, he was elected after Reagan too.
Yes.
Yeah.
But is that not disturbing at all to know of how deeply tied into the CIA he was with?
That's how there's a lot of these guys come from. NSA, CIA, you know, you can never say that. CIA.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a fan of government organizations like
agencies.
Agencies.
The bureaucracy.
Yeah, dude. I think, dude, that's just too much government, man. I feel like you're getting that's too much. You know what I mean? Like, it's one thing to have a federal government and a state government. I mean, like, I try and think as closely to like George Washington would be about a political landscape, and I don't think he at all had in his mind we're gonna have a central intelligence agency. You know what
absolutely.
I'm saying?
He said there should be no standing armies. We have, Homeland Security. We have Coast Guard.
Yeah,
we have,
exactly.
The United States military.
Like the amount of government that is in this country is just.
And around the world.
Yeah.
We have bases and
deployments
like that's in like 200 countries out of 235.
Because we're the police of the world? Fuck that shit, man. No, we don't need to be involved in that. Like, I just, I get the one thing to be involved with other countries for trade. Keep it at that. Why do we need to fucking have our soldiers in these countries, especially when it came to the Middle East and fucking soldiers guarding the poppy fields? I mean, that's fucked up.
Right.
Like, that just leads into the whole, the government was
they've been busted. Like, the CIA has been busted for selling drugs, selling heroin, making money. They need money.
Weapons.
That's what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
They sell money. They sell guns.
Yeah,
they sell drugs.
They did whatever. No, they were selling drugs, dude. You know what's fucking wild? My dad and I were talking about this, and the whole, I believe it was a Fast and Furious operation that was going on, and like this is all declassified shit about running weapons from like Mexico and all that, funneling them into America, and then what they would do with these weapons is they would literally drop them in these broken neighborhoods and cities and shit like that to cause more fucking violence and crime.
That's fucked up.
It's fucked up, man. Like, when he was telling me about that, I was like, damn, dude. Like, but I wouldn't put it past the fucking government to do that kind of shit. You know what I mean? Like, they were just fanning the flames to fucking do that, I feel like there's so much lying and deception.
Well, that's like the whole thing we were just talking about Reagan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ever heard of the Iran-Contra affair?
Yeah. Fucking Willie North and, that whole thing.
Oliver North?
Oliver North, yeah. Willie North.
Okay. Yeah, that's literally what they did.
I apologize because Joe actually has a computer in front of him where he can actually fact check while he's talking. I'm just fucking rattling off the fucking crazy shit in my brain. So I apologize.
I haven't actually touched the computer.
I know. I'm just saying he at least has the option to do it. I'm just fucking rattling shit off, and if I do say something that is offensive or inaccurate, I apologize for that.
But yeah, that's what they literally did. They literally took guns and sold them to a country with an arms embargo, and then covered it up.
Yeah. Man, like, dude, there's just the bottom line, man. I mean, like, people in power just get corrupt. Like, I feel like it doesn't.
Well, they're corrupt before they go into power.
I mean, yeah.
I think the power certainly corrupts them.
Yeah,
more.
I feel like it works both ways. I feel like if you already have a corrupt kind of personality to begin with, I mean, of course, you're going to gravitate towards something that gives you power. Like, believe me, I've always thought about, like, what would it be like if I did go into politics and if I did with the right intentions, because I want to say I feel I have a pretty decent moral compass to be understanding to the vast variety of people that are in this country and social issues, and like I very much do try and hear a lot from both sides, from the liberal point of view and the conservative kind of point of view, and I do feel like there very much is a place where you can meet those ideologies as long as we can kind of establish a base of what we would like to see in this country.
And that's the problem. Like, I was just talking about Reagan. I know plenty of Democrats that still, adore Reagan. And
then I know plenty of Republicans who say the things about JFK. You know what I mean? A Democrat.
Or even Clinton,
Yeah.
And that's what's gone now, is that there's no more of, well, I didn't like him, and he wasn't the guy I voted for, but, that's a good thing he did this, and he did this, and it was very good, and, he made the country better in this way, but now it's just, they can do no good.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
I don't support Trump, right? I'm not a Trump supporter, right?
Mm.
But...
And we get along great, I promise. Like,
But, like, 2 weeks ago, they just passed some kind of a peace agreement between the United Arab Emirates and Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, like, historic because, for the last 2 decades, no Arab countries would even think about trying to make peace with Israel, a Jewish state.
Yes.
Because they're all Muslim.
Yeah.
And at least the majority. I mean, UAE is a little different because they have a lot of diversity. But, some of these other countries are, 99% Muslim.
Yeah.
And they would never even think about beginning to make peace with the Jewish state that was stolen from them. After World War II, they gave, they separated the land.
Mm-hmm.
They gave the Palestinians Palestine.
Yeah.
Right.
And then that just
and
created
so,
the whole thing.
Yeah, that's what royally fucked us. Fucking 80 years later, we're still having trouble in the Middle East. And that's like the dynamic is changing. They were able to make peace because they now know their citizens will become more upset with the government doing poorly economically rather than the citizens getting upset with the government making treaties with people they don't like.
Yeah.
And that's what they're beginning to notice. And it's pretty historic. You know what I mean? There hasn't been a peace deal between Israel and any other Middle Eastern country in the last... Since its existence.
Mm-hmm.
Since the existence of Israel. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a total vast knowledge on, Middle Eastern politics.
Yeah.
And all.
But that's the thing, is that this happened 2 weeks ago, and I rarely hear about it on the media.
Well, I mean...
And, it's like, in a sense, this is a step towards world peace.
Yeah, dude. And I mean, like...
And you don't hear about it. Why?
Yeah. I mean, you definitely...
I don't like Trump, but shit. Great job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You definitely want to hope, no matter what fucking party line you toe, is like, I mean, I feel like all of us, no matter where you are in the spectrum, would want peace with all nations. And I mean, like, you know, that's just, how do we accomplish it? Where do we go from there? How will we? And I get, like, in that justification of us being involved in these other countries and shit like that. But, like, you know, okay, so the way I look at it is I think every country should be able to have its own identity and be able to do what they see fit for it, you know, and...
Even if it means killing 9 million Jews?
No. I mean, when you go there and use that as the example, obviously, you know, that's where you get the intervention of, you know, World War II. So obviously, but see, that's the thing. You gotta have people who are running those countries who also have the same idea of, like, yes, I want, because you're using Hitler as the example. Well, he didn't want to just be in Germany and run things in Germany. He wanted to take over.
World. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you have all of these world leaders who are like, no, you know what, we only have the best interest in our country, that's it, you know, stay in your lane kind of deal.
I mean, definitely there's certain countries, right, that, like, you can't fix.
Yeah.
Like Western intervention is not going to fix them.
Yeah, I mean, that's fucked up. You shouldn't be coming in and being like, hey, we're going to send in missionaries and fucking completely...
Yeah, we're going to send in drones to fucking bomb your villages.
Yeah, oh
and
shit, man.
It's in the name of peace and sovereignty.
Man, I used the missionary example. You go straight for the fucking drone missiles.
Oh, yeah, that's what it's become, dude.
Yeah,
that's what it is in 2020. It ain't fucking missionaries. It's fucking drones armed with bombs.
Yeah. I definitely just think, you know, if we were somehow able to get all of our world leaders in all these different countries on the same page of basically looking out for their own country's best interests while still sustaining a substantial kind of trade agreement, because I definitely think that is it is a great thing to have. I think that does make countries great, to be able to have different products that your country can't manufacture. But to get tied in with all this other horse shit of, like, I just think it's a really, you know, muddies the water pretty badly, like when you get beyond trading of goods. I just think I try and look at things from a very simple kind of viewpoint, like, still have contact and trade and everything with these countries, but don't get your nose involved in their politics. But like I said, my thought is that there's always this looming entity like the fucking Illuminati that they want this hostility between all these countries, and that they want to get this, you know...
Well, maybe not like Illuminati, but there are certainly people that benefit from other countries' turmoil.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
When they have, you know, collapsing of their economy and shit like that. But, like, whatever you want to fucking call them, Illuminati,
the elites,
the deep state, whatever, you know, they're still these fucking evil people out there who want to basically fuck everybody over, and they don't care. They don't have it.
Well, they just want more for themselves.
Yeah, they want the power, the money, they want all of it, and if they have to fucking, you know, kill dictators or presidents or cause a 9/11 or whatever, they don't care, man. Yeah. Like, they have no interest in our well-being as just regular people who just want to have a happy life of, you know, being able to have a family. Just basically our natural human programming.
Life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, right?
Yeah, man. I mean, like, that's what it really... I don't know. I think the reason I line up so well with, like, this libertarian founding fathers kind of mentality is because they had that in mind. You know, for the most part, I would say
their ideas and their written work, that is the Constitution, was meant to last the test of time.
Yeah. And, you know, and it's just like to see that eroding away.
These people were political theorists and philosophers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, George Washington learned chemistry at like 8.
Yeah.
And you know, we think we know better now, right?
Yeah.
With, you know,
but dude, at the end of the day,
watching Trevor Noah every night or watching Sean Hannity, and now I know more than George Washington or, you know, Thomas Jefferson.
It's like you can't even try and apply these modern day thoughts to that type of lifestyle. You get what I'm saying? Like,
just a quick little note. Yeah, this episode was supposed to be about the coronavirus.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say like that. I think it was good. I think it was good because that's a sign of us getting better.
Yeah.
Like we had a whole episode planned on talking strictly about coronavirus, and we made up another episode talking about other things.
All kinds of shit. You know, and definitely as viewers and, you know, listeners of this podcast, you know, feedback on what we talk about, and if you ever want to correct me on some shit because I'm a moron, and, you know, if you want to fact check me, you know, it is appreciated, you know, if you do it in a nice way. I'm always open.
Constructive criticism.
Yes, constructive criticism is my best friend. I definitely would love to hear back from you guys. You know, I'd prefer if you didn't just say that I'm being racist because I said something or homophobic or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, definitely, I'm always willing to listen to someone who's listening to us. I'm always wanting to learn, you know, new things, and I'm always really open to a lot of shit. And
just getting better and improving. It's part of growing.
Because,
you know, I'm the same way, you know, it's... If I can be doing something better, you know, let me know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We definitely need you guys, you know, to really let us know how we're doing on shit. And if there's stuff that you want us to talk about and cover, and I mean, if you want to hear Joe and I's personal opinions on shit, and, you know, we're just going to try and really keep it as open and free as possible. I mean, if you have any conspiracies that you want us to talk about, I am your guy. I fucking love that.
I mean, hey, and if you want to come on and talk with us, you're more than welcome.
Absolutely. We will always let guests in. You know, we have an open door policy on this podcast, man. I mean, we want to have all walks of life. You know, I definitely love listening to everybody. I'm hoping to get, you know, some hard Republicans and some hard Democrats on here and just have us hash it all out on shit and, you know, listen to what's going on and how people think, man. I mean, I'd love listening to everybody, man. You know?
I actually may have a potential guest lined up. Do you know Nick Schweinelone?
Yes, I do.
He's back in Buffalo area.
Yeah.
And he's starting his own clothing brand.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, a little entrepreneurial going on in here, you know. Love local people from Buffalo, you know, basically doing some positive shit for our lovely city here, you know. I mean, always prop up the good in what you got.
Yeah. I think it'd be great to get him on here and talk about clothing, and Nick's a pretty chill guy.
Yeah.
You know, maybe we won't go deep on political theories and stuff, but maybe get together and have a drink or smoke some cannabis.
Yeah, you know. That'll be a great time, man. I mean, like, I really just, you know, reaching out to our listeners, I just want you guys to know that this is a really open place, and like I don't mean to beat a dead horse here, but yeah, definitely letting us know your feedback would be great.
And remember, you can visit us at terminalstatepodcast.com. You can look us up on your favorite podcast app. We're on TuneIn Radio. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple, Google, YouTube.
All your lovely platforms there.
Wherever you want to go. And, you know, and feel free, email us, contact us, you know.
Yeah.
Let us know how we're doing.
I think that'd be great. So,
and we'll get to it. I mean, I did notice with the first episode, there was an issue with some of the volume on certain platforms. You know, like I think it was on YouTube and our website. It was a little quieter. But there's certain things that Apple and Spotify and Google do to their audio to normalize the volume. And, I know how to get around that now, and we'll fix that
definitely
coming up.
Improve when it comes to editing and everything. But yeah, our main focus, definitely letting everybody's voices on here is a really great thing. I mean, we'll try really hard to stick within the middle and just hear everybody out. No matter who you are, what you are, it's an open door, man. So
yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a wrap on what we got going on.
Episode 2 in the books.
Yeah, man.
Have a good night, everybody.
So, take care.